All right, folks, it's Friday. Yeah, it's Friday the 13th, no less. But don't worry, nothing too spooky is coming your way today, unless you count being stuck listening to me rambling for the next wee while. Let's try and make the most of it, though, because we've got a good bit to chat about, especially when it comes to Celtic and a certain player who's been making headlines over the last 24 hours. His name's not exactly been rolling off the tongues just yet, but that might change soon. So let's dive into what's been going on with Benjamin Nigron. That's the lad everyone's trying to pronounce properly, and why he might just be a big addition to the hoops if the stars align. So the transfer rumor that's been bubbling up recently is all about Benjamin Nigron, a name we're likely to be hearing a lot more of if the links to Celtic turn into something concrete. He's a 23-year-old Swedish playmaker currently, plying his trade in Denmark with FC Nordsjælland, and from what we're hearing, Celtic have been given the green light to open talks with him. Now, that's quite significant. The Swedish international is out of contract at the end of the year, so Nordsjælland are looking to cash in while they still can, rather than let him walk for nothing. The fee being floated around is roughly £2 million, maybe slightly more, which for a player of his profile seems like a tidy bit of business. Now, let's be honest, the lad's career hasn't been a straight line to the top. He started out at IFK Göteborg in Sweden, his hometown club, and made quite the impression as a teenager. So much so, in fact, that Belgian side Genk snapped him up for a reported £3 million when he was just 17. That's a hefty price tag for someone so young, but it shows just how highly thought of he was at the time. He actually scored on his debut for Genk, which is always a good sign, but things didn't quite pan out for him there. He found it tough to nail down a regular spot, and that led to loan spells in the Netherlands with Heerenveen. Again, some flashes of quality, but he didn't really settle or hit the heights many expected during those spells. Eventually, he found a bit more stability with Nordsjælland in the Danish Superliga, and it's there that he's really started to show what he's all about, especially last season where he came into his own and absolutely lit up the league. He scored 15 goals from midfield, which is a cracking return for someone in his position. Only 2 players in the entire division scored more, and they were both strikers, which tells you a lot about Nigron's attacking capabilities. He's not just a goal scorer, though. He's creative, technically sharp, and has a real eye for a pass. Watching him, you get that sense that he's always aware of what's going on around him, always looking for the next move. And here's something else worth noting. He's now a full Swedish international. He's played in all 4 of Sweden's friendlies this year, and he scored a couple of goals in the process, including a lovely left-footed finish against Hungary. It was one of those curling efforts that just sails into the top corner. Beautiful stuff. After that goal, he even gave a bit back to the home fans behind the net, showing he's got a bit of fire in him as well. That bit of personality, a bit of edge. Something you always love to see in a player who might be coming to play in the heat of Glasgow. I had a wee nosy at his highlight reels, as you do. And yes, the usual disclaimers apply. You can make anyone look like Messi with the right music and slow motion clips. But still, Nigron's got that left foot wand of his. And the way he strikes the ball, the way he pings, passes across the pitch, it's hard not to get a little bit excited. He's got that natural flair you don't always see, and he's very much a left-sided player in the purest sense. Everything he does is on that foot. But when you've got that much control and vision, why not use it every chance you get? In terms of comparisons, I saw some folks draw parallels with Kai Havertz and even Charles de Ketelaere. Now that's high praise, but from what I've seen, it's not completely outlandish. Nigron's tall, elegant on the ball, maybe even a bit gangly in his movement, but in a good way. Think of how Tom Rogic used to glide through defenses, not in a rush, not in a panic, but always in control with that long stride, eating up space, and defenders left chasing shadows. Nigron's got a bit of that. He's not just there to keep things ticking over. He's there to make things happen. From Celtic's point of view, it makes perfect sense to be looking at someone like this. Let's be honest, last season, we lacked a bit of spark in midfield at times, especially when Reo Hatada was out. When he wasn't in the squad, the whole team just felt that bit more predictable. We missed that guy who can pick the lock, find the gap, or hit a 30-yard rocket when nothing else is on. And while we've got players like Odin, Thiago Holm, and Paulo Bernardo who show promise, consistency still a question mark. That's where Nigron could step in. He sees himself as a link between midfield and attack, and that's exactly the type of profile we've been needing. It's not just about talent either. It's about timing and opportunity. Nigron is in that sweet spot of his career. Young enough to improve, but with enough experience to handle the pressure. He's been through the highs and lows already. He's tasted setbacks, found his feet again, and now he's thriving. That builds character. And when you consider the price being quoted, it's a low-risk, high-reward move, especially if he can replicate his Danish league form in the Scottish Premiership and on European nights. But of course, we're not the only club sniffing around. Reports suggest Anderlecht, Copenhagen, a few Bundesliga sides, and even clubs in the MLS are all watching him closely. So it's going to come down to the pitch we make. Can we sell the project? Can we convince him that Celtic Park, the Champions League, lights the noise, the expectations? That's where he belongs. He'll have to weigh up regular minutes, European exposure, and a chance to be a hero in Glasgow. If we get this one over the line, it could be a very shrewd bit of business indeed. Now, if you're wondering whether this potential signing of Nigron might close the door on other midfield targets, like Lennon Miller, that's a fair question. Miller's been linked heavily as well, but his price tag skyrocketed recently, and maybe Celtic are just being pragmatic. Going for Nigron could be a sign the club's shifting focus, especially if they think Miller's no longer realistic. In terms of value, still nothing's off the table until deals are done. But it does make you wonder if we're being a bit more strategic this summer, lining up alternatives instead of putting all our eggs in one basket. And speaking of deals, it sounds like Nordjylland aren't going to play hardball. They've already said they're open to letting the lad talk to clubs as long as their valuation's met. No long negotiations, no unnecessary delays. Just straight up, here's the price, take it or leave it. If it really is $2 million or even $3 million, that's well within our budget. No excuses. This is a deal we can do. And if Brendan Rodgers sees in Nigron what many of us are starting to, it feels like a no-brainer to move quickly. Now shifting gears just slightly, there was a press conference held yesterday supposedly to promote the big upcoming friendly against Newcastle United at Celtic Park. And I say supposedly because let's be real here, it felt more like a bit of PR damage control. The ticket sales haven't exactly been flying off the shelves, and when the club starts rolling out press events just to hype a preseason game, you can't help but wonder if they're worried about turnout. And looking at the ticket map online doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Only the bottom tier of the Jock Stein stand seems to be open at the moment, which tells its own story. That doesn't mean no one's buying tickets, it just means they're holding back on opening the upper sections until they really need to. Fair enough. But for a game like this, you'd hope for a bit more buzz, especially with a Premier League side coming to town. The one thing that might boost the atmosphere a bit is the traveling support from Newcastle. Word is they've already sold out their allocation and might even be giving more tickets, potentially up to 9,000 or 10,000. So we're looking at a proper away crowd making the trip up to Glasgow, and if nothing else, that'll inject a bit of energy into the match. But the truth is, many Celtic fans are disappointed this game wasn't included in the season ticket. A wee gesture like that goes a long way, especially when supporters have backed the team so loyally. Not including it just feels like a missed opportunity to give something back. But it's not just a friendly on the line, it's the Adidas trophy, believe it or not. So technically Celtic could be going for a treble of preseason trophies, if you count the Super Cup and the Como Cup as well. Bit tongue-in-cheek obviously, but it adds a wee bit of motivation for the lads in preseason. And to hype up this particular clash, the club brought out B-team boss Stephen McManus and former Newcastle keeper Shay Given, who also came through Celtic's ranks once upon a time. Both were doing their best to sell the occasion, and to be fair, they did a decent job trying to bring a bit of positivity to the build-up. Stephen McManus talked quite a bit about the importance of the youth setup and how proud the club is when young players get their chance in the first team. He mentioned a few names who've broken through recently, Sham Mardo, Jude Bonner, and Francis Turley, and said that seeing those lads step onto the pitch is the real reward for the coaches working. Behind the scenes, it's not about the B-team results. It's about development, about building players who can handle the leap to the senior side. He was also clear that having role models like Callum McGregor and James Forrest, and now potentially Kieran Tierney returning, gives the younger players something tangible to aspire to. Seeing someone who's come through the same path played in the same dressing rooms, it makes the dream feel real. Shay Given, meanwhile, got a bit nostalgic. He talked about his time at the club as a teenager, and you could hear the affection in his voice. Even though his career took him elsewhere and he never quite broke into the Celtic first team, he clearly holds the place dear. He shared memories of training as a youth player, of driving past the old stadium, and what it means to come back and be involved again. There's that sentimental pull Celtic has on people. It doesn't leave you even if you've spent most of your career somewhere else. So that's where we are for now. Benjamin Nigron's name is the one on everyone's lips at the moment, and if Celtic can pull this off, it could be a big one. He ticks a lot of boxes, fits the age profile, adds creativity and goals, and is already an international player. Combine that with the buzz around Tierney possibly returning and the focus on youth development, and it feels like the pieces are starting to move behind the scenes. Still early days in the summer window, but if these are the kind of signings where I'm targeting, we might be in for a decent build-up to the new season. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers are beginning to circle through the misty streets of Glasgow, and the green side of the city is buzzing with what could be the most sensational homecoming in recent memory. Rumor has it that Andrew Robertson, yes, that Andy Robertson, Scotland's beloved captain and Liverpool's tireless left-back, could be donning the famous green and white hoops of Celtic. While nothing is yet confirmed and no official word has come from either club, sources close to the situation suggest that talks may be underway behind closed doors. It's said that Celtic, with ambition soaring under Brendan Rodgers' second stint at the helm, are plotting a move that would not only shake the Scottish Premiership to its core, but also warm the hearts of Celtic supporters worldwide. Robertson, who started his senior career at Queen's Park and later made his name at Dundee United, has always had a deep connection to Scottish football. His rise from the lower leagues to Champions League glory with Liverpool is the stuff of footballing fairy tales. But could the next chapter bring him back north of the border? The 30-year-old still has plenty to offer at the highest level. And while he remains a crucial part of Jurgen Klopp's plans, some speculate that a return to Scotland could be on his horizon. With Liverpool reportedly in a transitional phase and whispers of squad reshuffles over the summer, it wouldn't be the wildest twist if Robertson were tempted by a new challenge, especially one so close to home. Insiders claim that the pull of family, a desire to give back to Scottish football, and the lure of playing European nights at Celtic Park could be key factors. Add to that the fact that Robertson grew up a Celtic supporter, and the story begins to feel more than just idle gossip. Whether this is just smoke without fire or the first flickers of a transfer storm, one thing is certain: the Celtic faithful will be dreaming of a scenario where their prodigal son returns. Not as a hopeful youth, but as a decorated warrior, ready to write a new chapter in paradise. Hello, fans! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.